What's up, guys? We made it to the end of 2017. I just wanted to say thank you for subscribing to this channel and for following along with me. I truly appreciate it, and it's awesome to have you guys with me as I explore California. For this video, I just wanted to share my 10 favorite adventures from the last year. You may have seen the highlight video I made. You can see it up here or maybe in the description. And I also wanted to hear what your favorite adventure was, so be sure to leave that in the comments. And if you have a link to a video that you made with that adventure, share that in the comments as well. I'd love to check it out. So let's do it. 10 favorite adventures 2017. Adventure number 1 takes us to Clouds Rest in Yosemite National Park. Clouds Rest is one of those places that I've wanted to explore for pretty much the entire time I've had the blog. I hiked Half Dome 3 or 4 years ago, and I remember looking up at Clouds Rest from the top of Half Dome and just thinking about how cool it would be to stand up there. I met up with my friend Chris from lastadventure.com, and we set out to do 2 days backpacking and exploring in the high country of Yosemite. We went to May Lake and camped in the snow with all the mosquitoes, and then the next day we got up and we did the 12 to 14-ish miles to the top of Clouds Rest. This is a no joke hike. There's a good amount of elevation, but it is a lot easier than doing Half Dome from the valley. Plus, when you get to the top of Clouds Rest, you get this amazing view of the iconic Half Dome from the backside. You can even see like ant-like people going up the cables and the Yosemite Valley around you. It's an amazing hike, one that I highly recommend, and I was so excited to be able to do it this year. For my second adventure, Amy and I were invited by the landing resort to South Lake Tahoe, and we explored for 3 days. South Lake Tahoe is one of my favorite places in California, and I always find myself coming back to it for the hikes, the food, and just the adventures you can have in the area. A few of the highlights on this trip were hiking the Rubicon Trail, which is something that I've always wanted to do, seeing a lot of the flowing waterfalls, and then seeing sunset from the top of Cave Rock. If you want a food tip, I also recommend heading over to McDuff's and getting the bread pudding. It is unbelievable. Adventure number 3 was a road trip I took up Highway 395 in the beginning of the year. This last year we had a ton of rain and snow, so I really wanted to see Highway 395 in the Eastern Sierras covered in snow. I headed out and went through Lone Pine to go to the Alabama Hills and do some photography, and then I moved on to Bishop in the Convict Lake area, went to the hot springs, went to Mammoth, took the gondola up to the top, and then ended in June Lake where I spent a day exploring the June Lake area. It was an awesome 48 hours of adventures, and I cannot wait for it to snow again on Highway 395 so I can make the road trip up there. Also, if you're looking to drive Highway 395, I made an ebook that has a full itinerary of some of my favorite stops. It's a shameless plug, but check it out in the description if you're interested. Stop number 4 was heading to Napa City. So I've been in the Napa Valley many times over my travels in California, but I haven't spent any time in the city of Napa. I spent 3 days there in fall of this year, and it was a blast just exploring the area, getting to do a chocolate tasting, doing bike riding, even a little bit of hiking. It's such a fun city and a great place to stay while in wine country. My food tip for Napa is to head over to Bounty Hunter and get the beer can chicken. It's one of the best things I had in all of 2017. Adventure number 5 is something Amy and I did just a few weeks ago, and that was to take a trip up to San Francisco and explore all the Christmas activities they have. I love exploring big cities during Christmas time like New York and Chicago, but San Francisco is a special place for me because there's so many fun attractions and you have a lot better weather. Some of the highlights were getting to go to SantaCon, which was like 1,000 Santas descending on the city of San Francisco, being able to see the sugar castles in the West End, the gingerbread house in the Fairmont, and just walking Fisherman's Wharf and seeing the different lights. It's just an amazing time to be in the city, so if you get a chance, go to San Francisco during the Christmas season. Adventure number 6 takes us back to the high country of Yosemite, where I spent 3 days exploring with Amy and my friend David from Yosemite Family Adventures. During that time, we got to go fly fishing, which is something I've always wanted to do in Yosemite. We got to hike Unicorn Peak, which is a not very often hiked peak in the high country, and we got to hike up to North Dome, had a cheese plate that David made, and watched the sunset over Half Dome. After that, we walked up to Indian Rock Arch and did star photography before hiking 4 miles out in the dark. It was truly an adventure and something I'll always remember. Number 7 was my hike to Three Sisters Waterfall, again with my friend Chris from Last Adventure. Three Sisters was a waterfall I've always wanted to do since I started the blog, and this year after all the rain we had, I knew I had to check it out. This hike is in a remote part of San Diego County, and it takes you downhill the entire way to the waterfall, but then uphill all the way back out. There's 3 tiers of the waterfall and each one is equally impressive. It's definitely best to see after a good rain, as it's a really impressive waterfall when there's a lot of flow. Number 8 was going to Santa Rosa Island in Channel Islands National Park with my dad. We did an overnight on the island and just explored, and it was a ton of fun. This island has miles and miles of hiking trails, beautiful beaches, and these cute island foxes that are all over the island. It's a great spot to hang out for 48 hours and to explore the history and just the natural beauty of the area. I cannot wait to go back and see more of the Channel Islands, and if you haven't made the trip out, be sure you do that soon. My 9th adventure was heading up to Carrizo Plains for the super bloom. After all the rain we had this year, the wildflowers in the deserts were popping up like crazy. I saw the Carrizo Plains all over social media and knew I had to check it out, so I took a day trip up to the area, which is about 3.5 hours of driving each way. When I got there, I was blown away by the sea of yellow everywhere you looked. It was an amazing experience, and I spent 3 to 4 hours just exploring the park before having to make the drive back home. If you hear about a super bloom in the Carrizo Plains, do not miss it. It's something you have to see. My last adventure that I went on was a 1-week trip through California, trying to visit more of the national parks that I hadn't been to. On this trip, I went to Pinnacles National Park, Cesar Chavez, Alcatraz, John Muir's home, and did a bunch of stuff up in the Mount Shasta region, which included going to Burney Falls and going to McCloud Falls, which are some of my favorite places in the northern part of the state. I didn't get to all the national parks like I wanted to because of road closures and some other problems with the winter this year, but it was amazing just exploring the state and seeing the crazy amount of natural resources that we have in California. So that's it, my 10 favorite adventures from 2017. Let me know in the comments what yours were, and be sure to link some videos if you have them of your adventures. We'll see you guys next year.